I heard my kids say they prefer mom's lover Eric. He gives us money, dad's too old. A DNA test proved I'm not their father. I left that night. 4 years later, I returned. With legal papers for revenge. I was walking past my son's room when I heard voices. The kind of hushed voices kids use when they think no one's listening. I stopped at the door. My hand froze on the handle. What I heard next made the blood in my veins go cold. "I wish Eric would stay with us forever," my youngest, Tyler, said. "Our dad isn't someone we can rely on anymore. He's old." Then came the crushing part. My daughter, Emily, only 10, replied, "Yeah. Mom's friend gives us money for school and stuff. He's young. He takes us places. Dad just works all the time." There was a silence. I didn't move, didn't breathe. They were choosing between me and him. Eric, the name hit like a hammer. I knew that name. Eric Carter. Her old college friend. The one she always mentioned with that weird smile. The one who sent our kids birthday presents even though he lived in Seattle. The one who came to our barbecue last summer and stayed too long, drinking my whiskey and laughing too loud with my wife. She said he was just visiting. I never believed her. I stumbled backward from the door, hitting the wall. My knees buckled, but I didn't fall. My heart felt like it was in my throat. I went straight to the garage and sat in my truck, gripping the steering wheel like it could hold me together. My own kids, picking him, talking like I was some washed-up stranger. All this time, I thought I was building a life. Turns out I was just holding the door open while someone else walked in and took my place. I had to know everything. I wasn't going to be the last to find out again. So I started digging. Emails, photos, messages on her iPad she never bothered to log out of. She'd been seeing him for over 3 years. Secret hotel bills, a shared playlist called us, even a photo of him holding my daughter on his shoulders at the zoo, a photo I wasn't even in. Then came the hospital receipts, prenatal tests, DNA markers, a message from Eric. "So glad we know now. They look just like you." I vomited right there in the garage. They weren't mine. I thought I was a father for 10 years. I taught them to ride bikes. I sat through school plays, wiped tears, packed lunches, sang lullabies. And the whole time, it was all a lie. A cruel, twisted lie. She let me raise someone else's kids. She looked me in the eye every day and said, "You're such a good dad." What kind of monster does that? I didn't say a word that night. I laid beside her like nothing had changed while my entire world crumbled beneath me. Her phone lit up around midnight. I didn't touch it. I just stared at her sleeping like a damn angel, peaceful, like she wasn't shoving a knife deeper in my back every single day. The next morning, I packed a bag. I left a note that said nothing except "I know," and I vanished. For 4 years, I became a ghost, changed my name, cut all ties, built a new life in a town no one could find. But I didn't forget. I didn't move on. I planned. I studied law, opened a quiet firm, collected documents, photos, recordings, waited until the kids were older, waited until she remarried to him. Then I came back, walked right into the courtroom, and dropped the file on the judge's desk. Inside were the paternity results, the proof of infidelity, the timeline of her betrayal, the fraud of child support for kids who weren't mine, her signed admission buried in email she never thought anyone would read. And the best part? The house is still in my name. This isn't about custody. It's not about forgiveness. It's about showing her what it feels like to lose everything. This time, I'm not the one walking away. This time, she's the one who's going to watch everything burn. The day I came back, I made sure to walk slow past the house, our house, the one I paid off, the one she now shared with Eric and the kids who called him dad without blinking. She had changed the paint, took down the swing I built, replaced the oak tree with some cheap plastic patio, but the porch light was the same. It still flickered like it was dying, just like the version of me she'd left behind. I didn't knock. I just watched from across the street as they pulled into the driveway. He was driving my car. The silver Ford, the first bought brand new the year Tyler was born. And there he was with his smug little face, stepping out like he owned the place. She stepped out next, blonde hair curled, lips glossed, wearing a dress I hadn't seen before. She looked younger than I remembered, and then she smiled. Not the fake wife at dinner smile she used to throw at me while checking her phone. This was a real smile. The kind that lights up your whole face. She used to smile like that back when we first dated, but that smile wasn't for me. It was for him. She leaned in and kissed him right there in front of the kids, the neighborhood, the sky. A kiss like she forgot I ever existed. I clenched my fists, but I didn't move. Not yet. I had come back for a reason, and it wasn't to throw punches. It was to dismantle her world. I waited until morning, filed everything with my lawyer, served the documents to her workplace, a tech firm where she pretended to be some kind of marketing genius. She got the envelope in front of her coworkers. I made sure of it. An hour later, My phone lit up. Unknown number. I answered, her voice full of venom and disbelief. Ryan, what the hell is this? What kind of sick game are you playing? Just tying up loose ends, I said flatly. I figured you'd want to know where all that young money was coming from. Silence. Then she laughed. Laughed. You're pathetic. You left. You abandoned your family. You don't get to just walk back into our lives and play hero. Family? I asked. You mean the one you built on lies? The one you made with someone else's DNA? More silence. Then the switch, the one I knew too well. She dropped the fake anger and went full manipulation mode. Ryan, let's be civil. Don't do this to the kids. They love Eric. They have stability now. You'll just confuse them. I felt something twist in my chest. Not pain. Disgust. They were never my kids, remember? She hung up. That night, Eric called. I answered on speaker. Man to man, he said. We both know how this went down. She wasn't happy. You were never around. I just stepped in when you stepped out. You stepped in while I was still paying the bills, I said calmly. While I was wiping puke off your daughter's face at 3 a.m., while I was fixing the furnace you probably think broke itself. You didn't step in. You slithered in. He tried to sound tough after that, but his voice cracked. I hung up before he could say more. Let them both squirm. Let them panic. Because tomorrow, I'm taking back the house, and this time, I'm not leaving a note. The locksmith met me at 9 a.m. sharp. He didn't ask questions. I handed him the ownership documents, my name still etched in legal ink at the top. She never bothered to have it changed. She thought I was gone forever. It took him 10 minutes to change the locks, 10 minutes to reclaim a decade of humiliation. I walked through the front door like a ghost stepping into his old skin. Same kitchen tile. Same scratch on the dining table. Same wineglass on the counter, half full, lipstick stained. Hers. The walls echoed with memories I never consented to. The birthdays, the bedtime stories, the nights I stayed up fixing things so she could rest. She used to say I was her rock. Turns out, she meant something she could step on to reach someone better. I went straight to the bedroom, or their bedroom. I stared at the bed. Fresh sheets, his cologne, her perfume, a framed photo of them at a vineyard holding hands like some fairy tale ending. I grabbed the frame, looked at it for a second, then dropped it face down. The glass didn't break, but something in me did. This wasn't grief. This was war. By noon, she was banging on the door like a wild animal. Ryan, open this door. What the hell are you doing in my house? I opened it slow, calm, like I wasn't shaking from head to toe, like I hadn't rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. My house, I corrected. Check the deed. It still says Ryan Cole. Her eyes flicked. She already knew. She just didn't think I had the guts. You can't just show up and squat here like some psycho, she barked, her voice high and thin. The kids live here now. Eric doesn't own a damn brick on this lot. I cut her off. He's just a guest. And you? You're trespassing. She tried to shove past me. I didn't move. Call the cops, I said. I'll show them the papers. Then I'll show them the records of your fraud, the fake child support, the paternity lies. You really want to go there, Jessica? Her jaw tightened. I could see the panic settling in, the mask slipping, that perfect suburban queen act cracking at the edges. You're bitter, she spat. You always were. That's why I left. That's why I found someone better. I smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that reaches the eyes. You didn't find better, I whispered. You found someone dumber. She slapped me hard. The kind of slap meant to humiliate, to wound, but I didn't flinch. I just nodded. Feel better? I asked. She didn't reply. Just stood there, seething, shaking, trying to figure out how everything flipped so fast. I handed her a small folder. Inside were copies of everything. The paternity tests, the court filings, the fraud accusations, the order for temporary possession. Don't worry, I said. You've got until tomorrow morning to get your things. After that, the locks stay. And if Eric shows up with another speech, I'll make sure he leaves in cuffs. I've got his tax records too. Jessica didn't scream this time. She just stared. For the first time, she realized she wasn't the one in control. I shut the door slowly, deliberately. Let her stand on the porch like I once stood in that garage, lost and betrayed. You built this lie, Jessica. Now drown in it. The next morning, the sound of suitcases dragging across the porch was better than any alarm clock. She didn't knock this time. She knew I wouldn't open. I watched through the blinds as Jessica packed her car with plastic bins and designer bags, trying to keep her composure while neighbors slowed their morning walks to stare. She was wearing her power outfit, that tailored beige coat and sunglasses she always used when she needed to pretend she was still in control. But her shoulders were slumped, her jaw clenched tight, and Eric was nowhere in sight. Apparently, the better man didn't show up for the hard part. At 10 a.m. sharp, I called my lawyer. She's gone, I said. Good. Time for phase 2, he replied. Phase 2 meant pressing charges for financial deception. She'd signed school documents, loan applications, and medical insurance papers listing me as the biological father. That's fraud. And when I was gone, she kept collecting tax credits under my name. She thought I disappeared out of weakness. Truth is, I disappeared to give her enough rope to hang herself. Later that day, I walked into the kids' rooms. Tyler's posters of soccer stars still hung on the wall. Emily's unicorn lamp glowed faintly from a forgotten corner. I stood there for a long time, surrounded by the echoes of their voices, memories now loaded with lies. I love those kids, still do, even if biology says otherwise. But love, I learned, doesn't always equal truth. And truth matters more now. I sat on Tyler's bed and pulled out the envelope I hadn't opened in 4 years, the final paternity report, the one I already knew the answer to but never had the guts to read line by line. Both 0% paternal probability. That's science. Cold. Undeniable. I stared at the report until the letters blurred. Then I folded it neatly, placed it back, and stood up. No more mourning. I made a decision right there. I wouldn't chase custody. I wouldn't drag the kids through a war they didn't understand. They'd already chosen Eric. Maybe not because they hated me, but because Jessica fed them a version of me that was broken and distant. And I had been distant, working overtime, fixing everything with my hands while everything inside me crumbled. But if they ever came looking, if one day Tyler or Emily knocked on my door and asked, "Why did you leave?" I'd have the truth waiting, documented, clean, honest. Meanwhile, I got to work rebuilding. The house was mine now. The quiet was mine too. I sold the wine rack she loved, tossed every framed photo of her into a black trash bag. I repainted the walls myself. No more soft grays or magazine tones. I went deep navy with dark wood shelves and iron fixtures. The living room no longer smelled like her perfume. It smelled like cedar, coffee, and new beginnings. I even replaced the bed, burned the old sheets, tossed the mattress, slept on the floor for a week while the new one shipped, call it symbolic. One night, I found a box in the attic labeled college. Inside were old letters. Some were mine. Sweet, naive things I wrote her when we were 20. The others were from Eric. Same timeline. Same declarations of forever. She kept both. She played both of us from the beginning. My fingers shook holding those pages. I laughed, but it wasn't humor. It was disbelief that I had been this blind, distrusting for so long. I burned the whole box in the backyard fire pit. The next morning, I opened a savings account under a new name and transferred funds. Every dollar she touched erased. Every business tide she used to leech credibility severed. Every password changed. Everything she took, I was taking it back piece by piece with silence, precision, and absolutely no mercy point. 2 weeks after reclaiming the house, I got an anonymous email. Subject: you don't know the half of it. No message. Just a single attachment, a photo. Granny, but unmistakable. Jessica, sitting on a hotel bed, wearing my college hoodie. Eric behind her, shirtless, holding a bottle of champagne. The timestamp? 3 months before our wedding. That wasn't just betrayal. It was a blueprint. She'd been lying since the beginning. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the screen, mind racing. Who sent this? Why now? Then I saw it. The name on the email address, Matt.J.Grayson. Matt, my best man. The guy who gave the toast at our wedding, who once pulled me aside during the rehearsal dinner and said, "Bro, just make sure she's not still texting that college guy. I've seen them talk. It's weird." I didn't listen. I brushed it off. Thought he was jealous or just paranoid. Turns out, Matt saw the fire while I was admiring the match. I called him first time in 4 years. He picked up on the second ring. "I figured you'd reach out eventually," he said, voice low. "You sent the photo?" "Yeah. Thought you deserved to know how deep the rock goes." "Why now?" "I heard you were back. Saw the court filing in the local paper. Thought it was time you saw everything." We met for coffee that night. He looked older. Little more gray, little less fire, but still Matt. Still the guy who never sugarcoated anything. "I tried to warn you," he said, sipping black coffee like it was whiskey. "She was always slippery, always flirty with other guys, always playing two sides. And Eric, he never really left, not after college. You know that whole just friends thing? I caught them in a car once junior year. She swore it was nothing." "You believed her?" "Yeah. I did. That was my specialty, believing her." "Why didn't you tell me everything then?" He sighed. "Because you were already gone. You looked at her like she was the sunrise, and I was just some cloud trying to ruin your view." He wasn't wrong. I chose Jessica over everyone, family, friends, logic. She built her empire of lies on the bodies of everyone who tried to tell me the truth. I left that coffee shop with something new inside me. Not rage, not sadness, clarity. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming every piece of myself she tried to rewrite. That night, I started writing. Not texts, not emails, letters. One for Tyler, one for Emily. Each one explained the truth, not to poison them against her, but to free them, so that one day, when they're old enough to question the fairy tale, they'll have a map, and maybe then, they'll come find a man who really loved them. I locked the letters away in a drawer. I wasn't done yet. I still had to finish what I started. The financial audit was almost complete. The private investigator had more on Eric than I thought possible: tax evasion, falsified income, even a hush-hush complaint from a former intern. I smiled for the first time in days. You see, Jessica thought she'd traded me for a fantasy. A younger man, flashier, richer, smoother. But fantasy doesn't hold up under pressure, and I was done playing the fool. Next stop? Court. Not to fight for the kids, not for money, but to bring everything into the light where lies rot and the truth finally breathes. The courtroom wasn't packed. Just a few reporters, some gray-faced clerks, and Jessica sitting beside Eric like he was her human shield. She didn't look like the woman who used to steal my breath when she walked into a room. She looked like someone trying hard to hold the seams together. Eric, on the other hand, had that fake confidence slicked across his face, the kind that only cracks when pressure hits. His suit was too tight, his tie too loose. I could see his leg bouncing under the table. Guilty people always fidget. My lawyer stood calm and clean-cut like a man with nothing to prove, just evidence to deliver. Your Honor, he began, voice even. We're not here to argue opinions. We're here to untangle facts, and those facts point to a decade of fraud, deception, and financial manipulation. He laid it out piece by piece. The falsified paternity paperwork, the child support she collected under false pretenses, the school forms that bore my name next to children who weren't biologically mine, the mortgage still in my name while she played house with another man. I didn't look at Jessica. I didn't need to. I could feel her burning beside me. But the part that cracked the silence like a whip, the hidden bank account. My lawyer clicked the remote. The screen behind the judge lit up with transaction histories. Thousands of dollars funneled out over the years, small amounts hidden as expenses, school needs, family gifts, all rerouted into an account Jessica opened 2 states away. Was that for the kids? The judge asked. Jessica opened her mouth, but Eric cut in. It was my money. I gave it to her. For them. The judge raised an eyebrow. So you admit you've been financially supporting children listed under another man's name while also profiting from shared assets in a home you did not legally own? That was it. The shift, the beginning of the end. My lawyer stood again. We're requesting full ownership transfer of the home, legal action for financial restitution, and a public record of the fraudulent child support filings. Additionally, we are submitting a sealed letter to be held until the minors reach adulthood detailing the nature of the paternity findings so that when the time comes, they'll hear the truth from a court, not gossip. Jessica finally spoke. This is vindictive. He left. He abandoned us. He's trying to destroy my life because I moved on. I looked up. Destroy your life? I asked. Jessica, you forged mine. She scoffed. I gave you a family. No. You gave me a lie and called it love. Eric stood about to speak, but my lawyer interrupted with the final nail. Before Mr. Carter attempts to testify, I'd like to enter this into the record. He held up a sealed manila envelope. Inside are screenshots of threatening messages sent to Mr. Cole's phone from Mr. Carter, alongside proof of tax fraud and a complaint filed by a former employee accusing Mr. Carter of workplace misconduct. Eric's face drained of color. The judge banged the gavel once. Court will reconvene in 1 week for final judgment. In the meantime, both parties are instructed not to contact each other. Any violation will result in criminal charges. Outside, the sun was blinding. I stood on the steps while Jessica and Eric disappeared around the corner like shadows fading from a stage. It wasn't over yet, but for the first time in years, I wasn't the one being played. This time, I was writing the script. The day before the final court judgment, Jessica tried to call me 6 times. I let each one ring until it stopped. Then she switched tactics, texted from a number I didn't recognize. The message was short. Please just meet me. 1 hour. Same coffee shop. I almost deleted it. Almost. But curiosity is a funny disease, especially when it's tangled with 10 years of betrayal. So I went. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in the far corner, wrapped in a coat that probably cost more than my old truck. Her hair was messy in that deliberate way, and she looked tired. Not like a woman who'd been crying, but one who finally realized no amount of makeup can mask rot. She didn't smile when I sat down. That fake confidence she always wore like perfume gone. I didn't ask you here to fight, she said, voice low. I said nothing. She sighed. Look, I messed up. We both know that. But Eric, he's not the monster you think he is. He just wanted to. I raised my hand. Don't defend him to me. Not after everything. She flinched like I'd hit her, but I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. She leaned in, desperate now. This doesn't have to end ugly, Ryan. We were happy once, weren't we? I laughed, cold and sharp. You want to talk about happy? I was happy the day Emily called me dad for the first time. I was happy when Tyler broke his arm and only wanted me at the hospital. That wasn't your happiness. That was mine. And you built it all on a lie. Her eyes glistened, but still no tears fell. That was Jessica. Always just close enough to guilt, never close enough to redemption. I didn't know how to stop once it started, she whispered. It was supposed to be nothing, just reconnecting. And then, I got pregnant. I panicked. You were so steady, so good. I thought maybe it wouldn't matter. You thought I'd never know. She didn't deny it. I stayed. I continued, voice tight. Through all of it, through your late nights, your fake smiles, the way you looked at your phone more than you looked at me. I stayed. And you let me raise 2 kids that weren't mine like I was their backup plan. Jessica reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. It's not much, just some of the money left. I've been setting it aside in case this ever happened, if it helps. I didn't touch it. Keep it, I said. You'll need it more than I will. She looked at me then. Really looked. And for a second, I saw the woman I once loved, or maybe the illusion I thought she was. You hate me, she whispered. No, I replied. I just don't believe in you anymore. I stood up and left her sitting there, envelope in hand, past catching up to her like a tide she couldn't outrun. The next morning, court was brief. The judgment was final. Full ownership of the house granted to me. All child support payments made over the last 10 years to be reimbursed. Jessica and Eric, under formal investigation for tax fraud. My name cleared. Outside, the world felt louder, brighter. As I walked to my car, I saw Eric across the parking lot. He was standing next to a black sedan, phone pressed his ear, jaw clenched so tight I thought he'd crack a tooth. Our eyes met. He looked away first, and just like that, I knew something he didn't. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning of her end. And my beginning, finally, of living without the weight of someone else's deception on my back. It's been 6 months since the final gavel dropped. The house is quiet now, but it's a good kind of quiet. Not the hollow silence I used to drown in when Jessica would vanish for yoga weekends that ended with new lingerie and a locked phone. No, this silence is earned. It's peace. It's mine. I ripped out the master bathroom, gutted the kitchen, painted the hallways. Every corner of this place has my sweat in it now. Not to erase the past, but to reclaim the wall she used to smile against like a queen in a castle she didn't deserve. I rebuilt the backyard deck myself. Took me 4 weekends and half a bottle of bourbon. But the first time I sat on it, under a clean sky, coffee in one hand, plans in the other, I didn't feel broken. I felt solid. I never heard from Jessica again. The tax fraud investigation steamrolled their finances. Eric lost his job. Jessica tried to open a new marketing firm but couldn't get a single client. Word spreads fast when court transcripts go public, especially when they include emails labeled, "Let's keep Ryan in the dark." Poetic justice. The kids, they're still with her, and that's fine. I wrote them one more letter. Sealed it. No return address. Just the truth. I left it with my attorney with a single instruction. Give this to them when they're old enough to ask questions, not before. It's not vengeance. It's clarity. They deserve it. I'll always love them, even if I was just the man in the background of their real father's mess. Some nights, I dream about them calling me dad again, but dreams are fragile things. I don't chase them anymore. I chase discipline, purpose, freedom. I joined a boxing gym. Started waking up at 5. I lift. I run. I breathe deeper now. My reflection no longer looks like a man trying to remember who he used to be. And the business? Thriving. I partnered with a veteran buddy from my college days. Ironic, since Jessica once called him crude and directionless. He just bought a second house in Miami. Turns out the people she thought were beneath her are the ones still rising. And Eric? Last I heard, he moved back in with his parents. One of the neighbors told me Jessica tried to pawn off her jewelry to cover a lawsuit from a former employee of Eric's. Guess charm only lasts until the bills come in. Let her scramble. Let her scheme. That's her world now. Paper thin and always one match away from ashes. As for me, I'm not bitter. You expect me to say I am, that I wake up angry, that I want revenge, or some big Hollywood confrontation where she sobs and begs, and I walk away like a hero. But no, I just want a clean start, and I took it with my own damn hands. I didn't need closure. I built my own door and walked through it. If there's anything I've learned, it's this. Don't wait for the truth to reveal itself. Dig. Pull the thread. Follow the signs your heart tries to ignore. Because when someone lies with ease, they love with conditions. And when someone lets you raise children that aren't yours, they were never building a future with you. They were buying time. To anyone reading this, sitting in silence, sensing the cracks forming under your life, don't wait. Your peace is on the other side of the fire. Let it burn and walk out clean.